The air was thick with an eerie silence as I stepped into the decaying hallway of the abandoned hospital. The flickering fluorescent lights above cast long, distorted shadows that seemed to dance with the remnants of a haunting past. My heart pounded in my chest, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through my veins. Little did I know, this investigation would turn out to be more chilling than anything I had encountered before. As I ventured deeper into the hospital, the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. The walls seemed to bear witness to the pain and suffering that had unfolded within these forsaken halls. My flashlight revealed glimpses of rusted gurneys and shattered glass, a silent testament to the abandonment that had befallen this place. I reached the pediatric ward, a section of the hospital where the laughter of children once echoed through the now empty rooms. The air took on a cold, clammy feel, and an unsettling hush settled over the area. My senses heightened, and I could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching my every move. Suddenly, a distant sound, almost like a faint giggle, sent shivers down my spine. I dismissed it as a product of my imagination, but as I continued my investigation, the giggles grew louder and more pronounced. Panic gripped me, and I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. Turning a corner, I entered a room that seemed frozen in time. Tattered toys and faded drawings adorned the floor, remnants of a life interrupted. The giggles now surrounded me, echoing from every corner of the room. My flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls that seemed to dance in rhythm with the spectral laughter. Then I saw them. The ghostly figures of children, their translucent forms playing amongst the remnants of their once beloved toys. Their eyes, hollow and sorrowful, met mine, and an overwhelming sense of sadness washed over me. Frozen in fear, I could only watch as the apparitions continued their spectral play. But as quickly as the sorrowful scene unfolded, it took a sinister turn. The children's laughter transformed into haunting, anguished cries that pierced the silence. The temperature plummeted, and a gust of frigid wind swept through the room, extinguishing my flashlight. I fumbled in the darkness, my heart racing as the cries intensified. Whispers echoed in the air, chilling me to the bone. It felt as if the very essence of the hospital was mourning the tragedy that had befallen its innocent occupants. In that moment of utter terror, I stumbled out of the room, desperate to escape the overwhelming presence that surrounded me. The hallway seemed endless, and each step felt like an eternity. Finally, as I reached the exit, the cries and whispers faded away, leaving me alone in the darkness. I emerged from that abandoned hospital forever changed, haunted by the traumatic encounter with the ghostly children. The experience served as a stark reminder that sometimes the spirits of the past linger in the shadows, waiting to share their stories with those brave enough to uncover the mysteries of the paranormal world.
The air inside the abandoned asylum hung heavy with an unsettling stillness. My partner, Sarah, and I exchanged nervous glances as we stepped cautiously through the decaying hallways, our flashlights cutting through the suffocating darkness. The asylum had long been abandoned, its walls echoing with the haunting whispers of its troubled past. We were amateur paranormal investigators, driven by a shared curiosity about the supernatural. The asylum, with its reputation for otherworldly occurrences, seemed like the perfect place for us to explore. Little did we know that this night would take us to the very edge of our understanding of the paranormal. The flickering light of our flashlights cast eerie shadows on the peeling paint and crumbling walls. As we delved deeper into the asylum, the atmosphere grew more oppressive. It was as if the very walls were closing in on us, each step heavier than the last. The asylum's history was dark, filled with stories of tortured souls and unspeakable horrors. It was rumored that a malevolent entity, a demonic force, had taken residence within these walls. Ignoring the warnings of locals, we pressed on, driven by a mixture of fear and excitement. Our equipment crackled with static as we approached the heart of the asylum, a desolate and dilapidated room that once served as the center of the institution. The air seemed to thicken, making it difficult to breathe. The temperature dropped noticeably, sending shivers down our spines. Sarah, her voice barely above a whisper, suggested we try to make contact with any lingering spirits. We set up our EVP recorder and asked a series of questions, the silence that followed only intensifying the ominous atmosphere. Suddenly, a cold gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing our flashlights. Panic set in as the darkness enveloped us. I fumbled to relight my flashlight, my hands trembling with fear. The room seemed to come alive with unseen whispers, a chorus of voices that echoed from the depths of the asylum. Sarah's grip tightened on my arm as we strained to make out the source of the spectral cacophony. In the dim glow of our rekindled flashlights, we glimpsed shadowy figures darting across the room. Unearthly moans reverberated through the air, chilling us to the bone. The malevolent energy in the room was palpable, an oppressive force that seemed to feed on our fear. As we pressed on, the encounters grew more disturbing. Disembodied footsteps echoed through the hallways, and ghastly apparitions flickered in and out of existence. Our nerves were stretched to the breaking point, but an unspoken determination kept us moving forward. In a particularly decrepit wing of the asylum, we stumbled upon a room that sent shivers down our spines. The air was thick with an acrid stench, and an unearthly glow emanated from within. Hesitant, but compelled, we entered the room, our flashlights revealing arcane symbols scrawled across the walls. As we surveyed the ominous markings, a guttural growl echoed through the room. The temperature plummeted, and a malevolent force seemed to materialize before us. A shadowy figure, twisted and contorted, loomed in the corner. The air crackled with an unnatural energy as the demonic entity made its presence known. Fear paralyzed us as the entity advanced, its malevolence seeping into every pore. Desperation and terror clung to the air like a suffocating fog. I fumbled for our protective talismans, hoping they would offer some defense against the supernatural force that surrounded us. The demonic entity unleashed a torrent of indescribable horrors, manifesting phantasmal visions that assaulted our senses. Time seemed to lose all meaning as we battled against the onslaught of malevolent energy. Each attempt to escape was met with a surge of supernatural force, driving us deeper into the heart of the asylum's darkness. In the face of unimaginable terror, Sarah and I clung to each other, our shared determination, the only anchor in the swirling abyss of the paranormal. We recited protective prayers, desperately hoping for a sliver of divine intervention. Slowly, the oppressive energy began to lift, the demonic entity retreating into the shadows. Exhausted and traumatized, we stumbled out of the asylum, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. The air, once thick with malevolence, now felt strangely cleansed. As we left the asylum behind, we carried with us the weight of an unforgettable night, a night that had tested the limits of our understanding and left us forever changed. The echoes of the demonic entity lingered in our minds, a haunting reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the supernatural.
The wind howled through the skeletal branches of the ancient trees surrounding the abandoned mansion, setting an eerie tone for our paranormal investigation. My two companions, Jake and Mike, and I stood before the creaking gates, our breath visible in the cold night air. The crumbling facade of the 100-year-old mansion loomed before us like a haunted sentinel, whispering tales of forgotten secrets and lingering spirits. We were amateur paranormal investigators, fueled by a shared passion for the unknown. Armed with flashlights, EVP recorders, and a healthy dose of skepticism, we approached the decaying mansion with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The moon cast long shadows as we entered, our footsteps echoing through the empty halls. The air inside was thick with the scent of dampness and decay. Dust motes danced in the narrow beams of our flashlights as we explored room after room, searching for any sign of paranormal activity. The wooden floors groaned beneath our weight, adding to the overall sense of foreboding. As we delved deeper into the mansion, the temperature seemed to drop, and an inexplicable heaviness settled upon us. It was as if the very walls held the memories of a bygone era, and the spirits within were reluctant to release their grip on the past. We reached a grand staircase that spiraled upwards, its banisters adorned with intricate carvings. With a collective glance, we decided to ascend, driven by an unspoken curiosity that only true paranormal enthusiasts could understand. As we climbed, the atmosphere grew more oppressive, and an unsettling silence enveloped us. Reaching the top floor, we entered a room that seemed frozen in time. Faded wallpaper peeled away from the walls, revealing the mansion's once opulent past. A single window, draped in moth-eaten curtains, allowed a feeble light to filter into the room. It was here that we set up our equipment, eager to capture any evidence of the supernatural. As we initiated an EVP session, the air became charged with an otherworldly energy. The temperature plummeted, and an unseen force seemed to encircle us. Whispers echoed through the room, unintelligible yet undeniably present. I felt a shiver run down my spine as the hairs on the back of my neck stood on end. Suddenly, the room plunged into darkness. Our flashlights flickered and died, leaving us in pitch-black silence. Panic set in as we fumbled for spare batteries, our fingers trembling in the darkness. It was then that we heard a voice, a raspy, guttural voice that seemed to emerge from the very walls themselves. "You shouldn't be here," it hissed, sending chills through our already frayed nerves. We strained our eyes in the darkness, attempting to locate the source of the spectral warning. The room seemed to pulsate with a malevolent energy, and I could feel the weight of unseen eyes watching us. In a desperate attempt to regain control, we fumbled for our flashlights, only to have them extinguished by an unseen force each time. The air grew thick with a suffocating intensity, and an invisible presence seemed to press against our chests. Panic escalated into terror as the voice continued its haunting refrain. The temperature dropped to an unbearable chill, and our breath formed frosty clouds in the blackness. Suddenly, the oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the room was flooded with an ethereal light. Our flashlights flickered back to life, revealing the dilapidated surroundings. We stumbled out of the room, our nerves on edge, and our resolve shaken to its core. The mansion seemed to exhale a sigh of relief as we crossed the threshold, leaving the oppressive energy behind. We retreated through the desolate halls, haunted by the memory of that intelligent being and its chilling warning. As we emerged into the night, the wind carried away the echoes of our encounter. The abandoned mansion stood silent, its secrets buried within its crumbling walls. The experience left an indelible mark on us, forever solidifying our belief in the existence of intelligent beings beyond the realm of the living. Though amateur investigators, we had tasted the true essence of the paranormal, and it was a bitter, unforgettable flavor.